Hello, thank you for joining us in our weekly Fast 15 Canvas webinar series. This is where we take one portion of each of the different modules in the Kung Fu Canvas course, and we unpack it and walk through it step by step. Very glad to have you with us this afternoon. Today we are entering our last module, the black belt. So let's look at the required skills for that module. Today we're going to focus on course analytics, and then next week we'll focus on some course settings. The week after, the last section, which is course tools, and then our very final Fast 15 session is going to be the last Ask Me Anything, where we will invite our elementary level technology leaders from around the district to sit in on a panel and answer any of your burning questions. So very excited. This, we're wrapping up the end of March and we're about to jump into April, and this will be our last month of this series. So if you've not been able to follow along every week, all of these videos have been posted to YouTube on our district YouTube page. So you could pick and choose which one you want to watch as many times as possible. I should probably do that and correct some of the videos that I did not do so well in. Anyway, let's jump right into it. We're going to look at course analytics today. And just so you know, there's there's two, oh, I'm in student view, that was weird. There are two pretty good videos in the module. I'm going to leave student view right now. There we go. Let's scroll down to it. It's black belt, and we're going to look at the course analytics right now. All right, so this will give you a nice overview of course analytics. There are two different versions of course analytics that you can use to access. First, let's talk about what are the course analytics. That's an overview of all the student activity within your course. So the way we have courses set up in Sweet Home this year at the junior high and high school, each different class period is a separate course. At the elementary level, there's a year-long course, and most folks are using one single course as their homeroom where they're putting multiple subjects within that course. So if you want to see how your students are doing in that course, you would then go to the course analytics to look at the data that's available. Like I said, there's a couple different ways to access this information. There's the old version, and when I say old version, it's just the original way of accessing course analytics. I'm going to show you both. The first one, which I will refer to as the old version, you access on the home screen. So under course navigation, I'm going to click on the first link. All right, and you'll notice over here, there are several different buttons. In this sidebar, you're going to choose new analytics. There's also, if the new analytics aren't visible, you may also see view course analytics. So I am going to quickly turn off the new analytics so that you can see the old version, because I want to walk you through what exactly you should be looking for. So quickly, I'm going to go to my settings. I'm going to go to feature options, where it says new course user analytics. I'm going to disable it for right now, just so that you can see what the old version looks like in case you don't have the new settings enabled. I don't want you to get confused. All right, so I've updated that. I'm going to go back to home. There we go, view course analytics. So right here, looks like a little bar graph, second to last button. I'm going to click on that. So first, you should know your analytics are only available if your course is actually published. If it's not published, there's nothing that's going to be available for you to, the button's probably not even going to be visible for you to access it. So there's a couple different ways that you can view your data. The default is the chart view, and you can see by the different chart headings the different information that's available. So you can see how much activity from your students has been on throughout your course, from the beginning to the current date. You could see how many submissions are visible. It gives you grades, and then it goes down through your individual students who are enrolled, and you can see different data for each of the students that's listed there. All right, so this is a snapshot of the entire course. You can, under, if you don't want chart view, you can toggle to table view or grid view, and then you just have several pages to scroll through instead of one individual chart to look at. But it gives you a different way to look at that data, which I prefer first the chart view to kind of get myself oriented. There we go. The other thing you can do is when you move your mouse or cursor, you can hover over different data points, and it will give you that snapshot data as well, right? So you can see the percentage of submission for different assignments. This is probably not the best example of a course to show this, simply because this is a professional development course and we're not necessarily tracking grades on it. If you want to look at the analytics of individual students, you're going to click on the student's name. So I'm going to click on Michelle Bidwell right here. And this will give me her individual information and her performance so far. You'll notice the key for each chart changes. We have different things to look at. Again, I can toggle between the chart or the grid view, and I can also go to a different student from the drop-down menu here. If I wanted to email the student, I could message the student, and it will take me to the inbox and set up a message template for me. I'm going to click cancel. I'm going to click the back screen. Okay. So what can I view? I can view students who have participated in submitting assignments. If they have editing rights for a page, I can see that. In a snapshot, I can see how many times they replied to a discussion or taken a quiz. All right. Oh, sorry about that. Okay, I'm going to go back to Kung Fu Canvas. Right. So that is one way to look at course analytics. You can look at individual students as well, and it can be kind of a pain. Like if you wanted to do a grade report, I know at the junior high that was it is a very popular report to run out of the grade book. There is something similar in Canvas if you want to communicate historical or even recent snapshot of student performance. You can access that. So let me get into the second version of course analytics, and that's the new version. I really like the new version a lot. First, I'm going to go back and enable it. And the reason why I bring up that I like the new version a lot, some people like the old version a lot. Josh Dargis. And he's very familiar with using the old version of the course analytics. If that's the case, you, and you're like Josh, you can go in and enable or disable the new updated version of course analytics in your feature options under your course settings. So I'm going to enable it. And again, one of the great things about this feature option is that it will tell you what that feature does. If you just click this little caret, and it'll turn 90 degrees, and then it'll give you a description. Notice it may take data up to 24 hours to appear, just FYI. Hopefully that's not the case, because that will kind of ruin this demo. All right. I'm going to go back to home. Now you'll notice the title of this button has changed to New Analytics. And you'll also notice that there is a shortcut on my global navigation right down here. If that's not visible to you, you can add that to your navigation by going back to your course settings and looking for it in the lower drop-down menu, and then just dragging it up to the top section. You'll notice it is visible here for me. I don't believe New Analytics is visible for students. I don't believe that is visible for them. It's only visible for teachers or co-teachers in the class. I think we have those settings created that way. All right, so I'm going to go back to home. I'm going to click New Analytics, and you'll notice the information looks different. All right, so I have a couple different options of the way I want to look at the data that's available. First, I can look at course grades overall. Again, this is not a great example because I don't have grades necessarily inputted in a traditional sense. I could search by just a section. If I'm using sections, I can search by students as well, or assignments. So I can, the default is for all sections, all students, all assignments, but I could drill down and look at more specific information, either by clicking on this menu bar, or I can even type in the names of one student or multiple students and get that information. Below the search bar, I have the option to choose just assignments, just discussions, or assignments and discussions. I can download this information into a CSV table. I could also message students. I love this. This is a great way, a great shortcut for contacting students who overall maybe are scoring in a D or F range in your course. So this is a very handy tool for secondary teachers. You can enter the range, and this is based on your grading scale that's set up for your course. You can BCC, ooh, all right. So you can send yourself a copy of this. You can enter the subject line and your message. If you don't want to do score range, you have the choice to do missing. And in this case, it would be a good idea to do for a specific assignment. You'd put that in the menu or search bar first. Same for late. All right, so let me add an assignment. Okay, there we go. So I'm going to take this assignment in, and then it brings the assignment up in this pop out, and I could message students who I think only assign it to one student. So that's a bad example. Let's try this with another. Okay. All right, so you can see here score range. And you can see how many students have or have not turned that in. All right, so that's a quick snapshot where you can look at individual assignments, right? Oh, and I forgot to mention at the bottom, these little icons represent the different assignments of the course. Now, Kung Fu Canvas doesn't have a lot of assignments, so if you do as a class, or almost midway through this term, I imagine there'll be a lot more pictures down here or icons down here. Again, when you hover over the symbol, it'll give you the name and information that you used when you created the assignment. Okay. Weekly online activity. Again, this shows you for student participation, a historical snapshot. You can scroll back through the beginning of the course and see the different activity. You can look at individual resources that you have, how many times those have been viewed. Again, you can search by an individual student or an individual section if you have that set up. You can look at students individually and look at not only their percent on time, so that is how fast they've turned things in on time, when the last time they logged in, when the last time they participated in an activity versus logged in and viewed a page. So you get their information. Again, you can search for individual students, and at the top it'll tell you how long, I guess, or what's the calendar for that search looks like. And then last but not least, the reports. So you can get data and full course activity reports from missing assignments, late assignments, excused assignments, class roster, and course activity. So what do these reports look like? Unlike in the gradebook, it doesn't give you a little exemplar if you hover over it. The eye, however, if you click on that, it will show you what the exemplar looks like and the kind of information that will be included in that report. So you have different ways to view the data. You can include the data tables, or if you don't want that, when my mouse is freaking out a little bit, you can decide on shapes or not include any options. Again, the ability to message students directly from Course Analytics to find this information is fabulous. Let me go back to the student view right here. Let me select a student. You can get, again, their overall course grade on the different assignments, their weekly online activity, and also communication between you and the student. And that is, that would be tracked within your inbox. And so I know I have a student who's actually messaged me from Kung Fu Canvas. I will bring them up to be able to show you. All right, so you can see what this looks like. When you hover over it, it will give you that snapshot of one message from the student, one message from the instructor. So the student, Sarah, sent me a message, I responded, and the last interaction was on February 21st at 4 p.m. You can go back and look at how far along they've completed the course and how much activity. Again, you can download all of this, and you can look at their performance on individual assignments. So I prefer the new analytics, but I know people out there have their have different tastes. So if you don't like the new analytics, you can't access it in the old version on the home screen, the old course analytics. There's one other way that you can access student data. And this is through the people page on the roster. So I'm going to show you that really quick. All right, so when you click on students in your roster, you'll notice that the student came up, this little sidebar here. You can look at new analytics or grades. So you have several different options. I'm going to do new analytics, and it will take me back to that page that we just looked at, right? So let me click back. Now when I look at grades, it will give me option to how I want these grades arranged, either by due date, assignment group, module, or title. So module would be great. I'm going to apply that and it will resort them. And then I can choose to print this as an assignment report and either send to parents. When I print it, I can save it as a PDF. If your parents are already connected to students using the observer role, you won't need to do this. They still have access to this, but this is a nice report to be able to give to students who maybe are in person. And this shows how they've done overall. If you have any assignment categories, it'll have that sorted at the bottom too. You can calculate your assignment grades based on graded assignments only. So it'll weed out any unpublished assignments or assignments that have been submitted but not graded yet. You can choose to show all the details. So that could be if there's any rubrics attached to an assignment, you can include those as well. Or to make a short report, you can hide those details. That's what that little clipboard stands for. All right. I think we covered everything I wanted to show here. I don't see any questions in the chat. So let's move along and just remind everyone that we are doing attendee surveys and you have the ability to win a free t-shirt when you submit your survey. I'll put the bit.ly link in the chat right now. And then, like I said in the beginning, we only have a handful of Fast 15 sessions left. April is the last month for this series, and next week we'll be looking at course settings. In 2 weeks, pardon me, in 3 weeks, we'll be looking at Black Belt, the course tools and external tools, and then wrapping up this series with our final Canvas Q&A with our elementary panel. Next, I wanted to just remind everyone that we have our monthly Canvas users group that is coming up on the 20th, so in a couple weeks. And it is an unscripted unconference. In fact, we're calling it. If you have any questions about Canvas, you can bring them to this virtual meeting. People can share shortcuts. It's just a way to be able to answer questions collectively or troubleshoot things that folks are experiencing this spring. And I think that's it. All right, thank you so much for joining us this afternoon. Have a fantastic final day of March, and we will see everyone next week for our first session of April.